mulai dari kegiatan registrasi, pengembangan bahan ajar, pelaksanaan tutorial, hingga ujian akhir semester yang dilaksanakan secara online. Dalam sistem registrasi, UT telah mengembangkan sistem registrasi online atau SRO melalui beragam komputer ataupun smartphone. Dalam pengembangan bahan ajar, UT telah mengembangkan bahan ajar digital berbentuk PDF dan EPUB yang dapat diakses melalui Digital Library UT. Sedangkan dalam tutorial, UT sudah lama mengembangkan tutorial online atau tuton yang dirancang dalam Learning Management System atau LMS secara asinkronus. Seiring dengan perkembangan teknologi web, UT mengembangkan tutorial online sinkronus dengan mengintegrasikan aktivitas tuet, e-lecturing, dan video conference atau VCon pada aktivitas tutorial online. Untuk pelaksanaan ujian akhir semester, sudah lama UT menyelenggarakan sistem ujian online. Pelaksanaan ujian online sampai dengan tahun 2017 hanya diselenggarakan di kantor UPPDJI UT dengan memanfaatkan jaringan internet dan komputer yang terstandar. Namun, pada tahun 2018, UT sudah mengembangkan dan menguji cobakan ujian online yang dilengkapi dengan fasilitas online proctoring. Sistem baru ini memungkinkan mahasiswa dapat mengikuti ujian secara online dimanapun mahasiswa berada tanpa perlu kehadiran seorang pengawas. Selain itu, UT juga menyediakan sumber belajar terbuka atau lebih dikenal dengan istilah Open Educational Resources atau OER. Oleh UT, istilah OER tersebut diberi nama Suaka UT, yang merupakan singkatan dari Sumber Pembelajaran Terbuka Universitas Terbuka. Suaka UT ini dapat diakses bukan hanya untuk mahasiswa, tapi juga masyarakat umum secara gratis. Cakupan materi yang ada dalam Suaka UT antara lain UT TV yang berbasis YouTube, UT Radio yang ditransmisikan melalui internet, materi pengayaan berbasis online atau MPBO, perpustakaan digital, guru pintar online atau GPO, yakni merupakan portal untuk para guru di seluruh pelosok Indonesia agar mereka dapat mengakses sumber belajar dengan cepat, mudah, dan relatif murah. UT juga menyediakan konten dalam Suaka UT yang dapat dimanfaatkan oleh masyarakat tanpa dipungut biaya, yaitu Massive Open Online Courses atau MOOCs. UT juga telah membangun layanan bantuan belajar yang dapat dimanfaatkan oleh mahasiswa, yaitu berupa Dry Lab dan e-seminar. Dry Lab merupakan layanan bagi mahasiswa untuk melakukan kegiatan praktik atau praktikum yang dilakukan secara virtual dengan simulasi melalui komputer. Sedangkan e-seminar merupakan layanan yang diperuntukkan bagi mahasiswa saat mahasiswa tersebut mengikuti mata kuliah yang mewajibkan mahasiswa mempresentasikan hasil penelitiannya. Dalam mendukung layanan kepada mahasiswa atau calon mahasiswa, UT telah menyediakan beberapa fasilitas, yaitu pertama, Halo UT atau Online Customer Center, yaitu layanan pendukung untuk membantu mahasiswa memperoleh informasi tentang UT yang dapat dihubungi melalui berbagai media komunikasi. Kedua, digital marketing dengan memanfaatkan media sosial UT. Dalam mendukung pembelajaran e-learning kepada mahasiswa, fasilitas yang disediakan UT adalah wifi.id, yaitu layanan jaringan internet untuk publik berbasis wireless atau hotspot, disediakan oleh Telkom dan dapat dimanfaatkan oleh mahasiswa UT untuk akses internet. Microsoft Office 365, yaitu layanan UT online yang dapat dimanfaatkan oleh mahasiswa guna meningkatkan kapasitas email, berbagi hasil presentasi, serta konferensi via web. Sentra Layanan UT atau disingkat SALUT. Sentra ini merupakan perpanjangan tangan UPPDJI yang berada di kota atau kabupaten strategis untuk memberikan dukungan layanan bagi mahasiswa, calon mahasiswa, atau anggota masyarakat terkait dengan informasi ke-UT-an, kegiatan pembelajaran, dan kegiatan pendidikan lainnya. Untuk menjaga standar mutu, UT juga telah mendapat pengakuan dari dalam dan luar negeri, yaitu oleh International Organization for Standardization atau ISO, Badan Akreditasi Nasional atau BAN-PT, dan International Council for Distance Education atau ICDE yang berpusat di Oslo, Norwegia.
We know that Universitas Terbuka share this commitment, providing world-class, accessible higher education, and we're very proud to support you.
That Universitas Terbuka has assumed a leadership role in the field of open education resources or OER.
Universitas terdepan dari proses pembelajaran jarak jauh. Belum bisa tertanding dengan yang lain dan nggak akan bisa sebenarnya. Harus terdepan terus.
Assalamualaikum, Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, Salam Kebajikan. Good morning from Indonesia, everyone. And good evening in Boston, Professor Anant Agarwal. Thank you for joining the 4th Cyber Education Forum webinar. The topic for today is important for us, which is about open and distance education governance and quality assurance. My name is Fauzy Rahman Kosasih as the moderator. Today, we are very fortunate to have two distinguished speakers. The first one is Prof. Anant Agarwal, and the second one is Dr. Rijanto Purbojo, S.Psi, M.Sc. Before we jump to the presentation, I will invite Bapak Rahmat Budiman, Ph.D. as Vice Rector for Institutional Development and Cooperation Affairs of Universitas Terbuka to deliver a welcome speech. Time is yours, Pak.
Terima kasih, Pak Fauzy. First of all, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, because I'm sure there are some viewers also coming from different parts of the universe, of the world. Well, first of all, before I begin my opening remarks, I would like to congratulate Ibu Paulina for holding the grand launching of the ICE Institute yesterday. And it means that ICE Institute is now operating in Indonesia. And I do hope that from yesterday on, there will be many more students and also institutions will be participating in ICE Institute. And also, I would like to congratulate to ICE Institute for hosting the 4th Cyber Education Forum, which is today presenting two outstanding speakers. First is Professor Anant Agarwal, CEO of IDX, who will be talking about new normal for the higher education. And also Dr. Rijanto Purbojo, S.Psi, M.Sc, Lecturer of Psychology Study Program, Pelita, Harapan University, who will be talking about Q&A and governance in ODE. These topics are very interesting, and as we know that at the moment, the conventional, I'm very sorry, I use conventional terminology. Conventional university are now migrating from conventional or campus-based to online-based. I think these two topics are very relevant and interesting. And I also would like to pass Professor Ojat Darojat, Rector Universitas Terbuka, warmest regards to both speakers, and then we hope that one day Professor Ojat will be able to join another meeting with our two distinguished speakers today. Once again, I would like to say enjoy this presentation and then take part in the discussion by sending questions And then once again, I would like to promote the ICE Institute. Please, everybody who are now watching this video, click the ICE Institute website to know further about what is inside the ICE Institute. Pak Fauzy, Pak as a moderator, once again, thank you very much for inviting me, and then happy discussion.
Thank you very much, Pak
Wassalamualaikum
Rahman.
warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much, Pak Rahman. And next, I will invite Professor Paulina Pannen as the head of the ICE Institute to deliver an opening remark. Professor Pauline, please.
Thank you, Pak Fauzy. Thank you very much for this morning session. First of all, Pak Rahmat, thank you for your welcome remark. Pak Professor Anant Agarwal, thank you for joining this webinar. It is really an honor for us to have you in this webinar. It's very rare opportunity, I believe, for you to be able to be with us in Indonesia, although it is only virtually, but your presentation later on and your discussion will be very much appreciated. Pak Rijanto, thank you to be one of our researchers and also the speaker this morning. Hopefully what we are doing in our research series and webinar series will be able to assist the development of ICE Institute as expected by Pak Rahmat just now. Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, I would like to thank all participants and also our consultants from Asian Development Bank. Pak Ahmad Bakri, I believe, is already here. I don't know about Pak Iwan. Is Pak Iwan here, Pak Ahmad? Hopefully.
Yes, I think so.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much for joining. Hopefully later our colleague from Virginia University, Professor Marito Garcia, will also be able to join our seminar this morning. I'm sorry, Professor Anant, that we are doing it in the morning, and it means late, almost late evening in your part of Boston, but I think that's the way it works now internationally, because we are connected, everybody is connected through the internet, and we just cut across the difference of times. We don't have any more differences in terms of time. Yeah, we can communicate directly. Whether you are in the evening over there and we are in the early morning over here. Okay. Let me introduce to you all about ICE Institute. ICE Institute was just officiated yesterday by the Director General of Higher Education, Professor Nizam, as a marketplace for online courses in Indonesia. Although it is online courses in Indonesia, we are not only having or collecting online courses from Indonesian universities, but we are also partnering with a lot of international partners, such as your EDX, Prof. Anant. And also we are partnering with RILO, for example, the regional office of English language learning, I believe, from the U.S. Embassy in Indonesia. And the member of RILO, I believe, is all universities in United States also offering English courses for everyone, and it is for free. And we are also partnering, now we are working toward partnering with the OCW, Open Courseware, MIT OCW. Hopefully it will be materialized soon. So the collection of ICE is not only Indonesia, it's international. And we are operating from Indonesia, but we can go throughout the globe without any what we call difficulties because we are connected through the advancements of this information technology, which is very good for all of us. And hopefully everybody will enjoy the seminar today, which is one part of the activities of ICE Institute. That is actually ICE Institute is doing a lot of research to improve its systems, especially the learning engagement, the governance of online learning, and also the evaluation through online learning, for example, students' achievement assessment, all because online learning is relatively new in Indonesia, and we still need a lot to dig up and then to work on it, to shape it into, I would say that we are on par with EDX and we are of the international quality, so that everybody, wherever they are, can also join whatever provided in ICE Institute. So that's the cases of our webinar. And if someone collaborate with ICE Institute doing the research, we put it in for dissemination and socialization through a series of webinars. So now it is about the governance and quality assurance of online open and distance education. Actually, I would call it online learning, and especially in Indonesia. And we expect we will be able to learn also from Prof. Anant Agarwal, who has a lot of international perspective and views about the topic that we are doing the seminar today. So everybody, without further ado, I would like to have a what do you call a video, yeah, Pak Fauzy?
Yes,
To introduce about the ICE Institute, and then after that, please enjoy the seminar. Hopefully, you will get something for the out of the seminar. Everybody, thank you very much and enjoy.
Thank you, Prof. Paulina. And to get closer with the ICE Institute, let's watch its profile video.
Halo kaula muda Indonesia, salam sehat selalu. Ada yang baru loh di dunia pendidikan tinggi kita, yaitu Indonesia Cyber Education atau disingkat ICE Institute. ICE Institute merupakan marketplace mata kuliah daring bersertifikat yang bermutu dan terregistrasi secara nasional. ICE Institute juga dilengkapi dengan teknologi blockchain yang mencatat semua penempuhan dan perolehan mata kuliah daring oleh kita yang dapat dihubungkan dengan job market. ICE Institute hadir dengan tagline Merdeka Belajar untuk Semua. Mata kuliah daring yang ditawarkan melalui ICE Institute akan memperluas akses kita semua terhadap pendidikan tinggi daring yang berkualitas. Siapa saja, di mana saja, kapan saja dapat mengambil mata kuliah daring melalui ICE Institute. Selain itu, ICE Institute juga mendukung program Kampus Merdeka, Merdeka Belajar dari Menteri Pendidikan, Kebudayaan, Riset, dan Teknologi. Mata kuliah daring yang ditawarkan melalui ICE Institute sifatnya satuan mata kuliah, yaitu kalau kita sudah menyelesaikan dan lulus satu mata kuliah, maka kita berhak mendapatkan sertifikat elektronik yang terverifikasi untuk mata kuliah tersebut. Untuk menyajikan mata kuliah yang berkualitas dan sesuai dengan kebutuhan terkini, ICE Institute berkolaborasi dengan berbagai perguruan tinggi negeri dan swasta ternama di Indonesia, yaitu UI, UPH, UT, UGM, Binus University, UNJ, UAJ, IPB, Pradita University, ITS, UNS, AVEBI, Undip, dan Telkom University. ICE Institute juga berkolaborasi dengan institusi penyedia mata kuliah daring dari luar negeri seperti EDX. Untuk memperluas jaringan, ICE Institute juga berkolaborasi dengan
memberikan akses ke berbagai kursus terbuka bahasa Inggris yang dikelola oleh instruktur dari berbagai kampus bereputasi di Amerika Serikat. Pengembangan ICE Institute dimotori oleh Universitas Terbuka dan memperoleh dukungan dari berbagai pihak, yaitu Asian Development Bank atau ADB, Microsoft, dan Caliber. Kedepannya, ICE Institute akan terus memperluas jejaring kerjasama dengan banyak pihak untuk meningkatkan jumlah konten pembelajaran yang berkualitas serta menyediakan layanan pembelajaran daring yang dinamis. ICE Institute juga berupaya memperbaiki sistem yang sudah dimilikinya. Oleh sebab itu, bersama perguruan tinggi mitra, ICE Institute melakukan penelitian dan pengembangan secara intensif. Topik-topiknya menarik dan menginspirasi peningkatan kualitas pembelajaran daring di Indonesia. Penelitian tersebut dibahas melalui webinar series Cyber Education Forum. Setiap bulannya diselenggarakan satu webinar dan ditayangkan secara live melalui Zoom dan UTTV YouTube channel. Jadi ayo kaula muda kita berpartisipasi. Agar mata kuliah daring yang ditayangkan melalui ICE terjamin kualitasnya, dosen-dosen penyedia mata kuliah daring juga dilatih sehingga terampil dan siap untuk menyajikan materi perkuliahan secara daring. Kaula Muda Indonesia, yang paling menarik adalah beasiswa Mendikbudristek Merdeka Belajar untuk Semua. Semua mahasiswa di perguruan tinggi di Indonesia bisa shopping berbagai mata kuliah melalui ICE Institute dari perguruan tinggi ternama di Indonesia dan juga luar negeri. Ada 158 mata kuliah daring dari 12 perguruan tinggi papan atas di Indonesia dan 1.381 mata kuliah dari IDX yang berasal dari perguruan tinggi terkemuka internasional. Semua dibagikan secara gratis. ICE Institute akan terus berusaha untuk selalu melayani Indonesia secara prima melalui pengalaman belajar yang menarik dan menyenangkan. Belajar daring berkualitas melalui ICE Institute, tanpa batas, tanpa sekat, merdeka belajar untuk semua, Indonesia maju, salam sehat selalu.
Well, that's the profile video of ICE Institute. And before I invite the first speaker, there is a brief information for all participants. First, the first Q&A session will be open after Prof. Anant finished his presentation. And the second Q&A session will be after Dr. Rijanto finishes his presentation. If you have a question, please type it on the Q&A box. Or for those who are watching us on UTTV YouTube live streaming, please type the questions on the comment box. Don't forget to mention your name and where are you from. You may use English or Bahasa Indonesia. Second, at the end of this webinar, the organizing committee will give an evaluation form. Make sure all participants fill out the form to get the certificate. The certificate will be sent to your registered email address maximum 7 days from today. Now it's time for me to invite the first speaker. Prof. Anant Agarwal is the founder and CEO of edX and Professor of Electrical Engineering and Computer Science at MIT. Good evening, Prof. Anant. 20 minutes is your time, please.
Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam.
Good morning. It is my pleasure to join you and have this conversation about the future of education. I'm really excited to be here, and I'm also very excited about the collaboration between edX and the ICE Institute. These are very exciting times. I know COVID has caused incredible challenges around the world, but it has also emphasized the need for huge innovation in education, particularly online education. So Fauzy, let me share my screen so I can get my presentation going. Is that okay?
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you. So I hope you can see my screen.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So my presentation today will be about the future of education after COVID. And I'm going to talk about what are the new models that we will see coming out? And in particular, I will talk about 4 major new trends. But before I begin about the new normal for education, let me share with you a quick overview of edX itself. edX is a learning platform. We connect people who want to learn, learners, to some of the top companies and universities in the world who have content. So on our platform, we have more than 160 partner institutions, including Harvard, MIT, Cambridge, Oxford, and leading companies like Google, Amazon, IBM, and others. These companies and universities create courses on edX, and we have more than 40 million learners from every single country in the world, including Indonesia, of course. We also have companies taking our courses. More than 1,000 companies have signed up for our courses. And on the screen here, you see some of the pictures of the learners on edX. These are real photographs of people who are learning and who have succeeded on edX. People who come to learn on edX, as you heard in the opening remarks, people are coming to learn and also earn new kinds of credentials. People, after they learn, they want micro credentials, new credentials. Now, traditionally, universities offer degrees, bachelor's degree, master's degree, and so on. But today, the world is moving towards smaller certifications and credentials, and edX has been a leader in these credentials. We offer credentials like micro bachelors, micro masters, and professional certificate programs. We also offer many master's degrees on edX. Over the past 10 years that edX has been around, we have given out more than 2 million certificates to learners all over the world. We have had over 120 million courses taken on our platform by learners from everywhere. But more important than these numbers are the outcomes. Just as an example, learners who take these courses are getting real benefits. One of the big areas of our focus is upskilling for the future of work. There, 91% of learners on edX who have achieved a certification in a MicroMasters programs are telling us that they achieved a career advancement. They got a new job, a promotion, or a pay raise. 91% as a result of MicroMasters certifications. So this is a quick overview of edX itself. Next, let me talk a little bit about 1.5 years ago, when the whole world transitioned into the COVID era. Let me talk a little bit about what we saw. So I divide the world of education into 2 parts: BCE, before COVID era, and CE, COVID era. And before COVID, all of us were living our lives as usual. But in March of 2020, March of last year, we moved into COVID era. And suddenly our entire world changed. So what did we see starting in March of last year? Even while the whole world tragically shut down and people went to work remotely and all of us completely changed our lives, online learning suddenly had a huge upswing. On edX, we saw a huge uptick in learners coming to edX from all over the world. In fact, in the month of April, after COVID, we saw 10 times more new learners on edX than the previous month. And in fact, in the month of April, we added 5 million new learners on our platform, which matched the total number of learners we added in all of 2019. So in 1 month, we accomplished more for our mission than in all of the year 2019. So COVID saw an exponential increase in online learning. And it felt like the year 2012 all over again. For those of you who may remember, 2012 was the year of the MOOC. edX was started in 2012, and On the left-hand side here, you see an article from the New York Times by Laura Papano. She called 2012 the year of the book. And there was a lot of hype. And then last year, you see an article from the Wired magazine. Last year, you see an article from the Wired magazine where similarly, you see a huge upswing in excitement and interest for MOOCs. But this time around, in 2020, it was different than 2012. In 2012, there was a lot of hype. But in 2020, it was different because we had learned a lot more about online learning. In 2012, we were experimenting with new things. We were trying out new things. We were experimenting. But in 2020, we had learned a lot from the experiment. So things were different. So I'll give you a couple of examples. So one is, you see this picture here. These are real students in a classroom at San Jose State University in California. This university adopted edX's circuits course. It was a course that I taught on edX, completely online. They adopted that course for their campus. And so Professor Khosrow Gadiri, he offered the edX course on his campus, and campus students were taking this course fully online in a blended model. So you see the students in a classroom, they would take the course online, and then they would meet in class, and Professor Khosrow Gadiri would answer questions and solve any difficulties they had. This is like a blended model. And the results were very good. The failure rate for the course, so before edX, before 2012, the failure rates for the course were about 41%, very high. So the hard course. But after Khosrow Gadiri introduced this new model, the failure rate fell to 9%, from 41% to 9%. You can see the dramatic improvement in the success rate. So failures falling from 41% to 9%. Maybe I can suggest that some of the audience can put themselves on mute. There seems to be a lot of background noise. So it would be good if you can mute your microphones so that the noise does not come through. Similarly, Professor Khosrow Gadiri repeated this experiment in 2013 in spring and 2014, and the results were consistent. Online learning dramatically improved learning outcomes, even for the campus students. We then did the same experiment at MIT. At MIT, half the students took the course on campus from a campus professor, and half the students took the course online on edX. And the online students, we did an A/B test comparing the two, and the online students reported a lot less stress. And the exam performance, we gave both the students, online students and campus students, the same exam. And performance was similar. And there was a very famous study published by Marshall in 2017 that looks at these results. So these two studies and many other studies between 2012 and 2020 showed that online learning was as good as in-person learning. So we had learned a lot. So that's why 2020 was different, because we had learned so much about online learning. Next, let me talk about. So Fauzy, maybe you can suggest that people put themselves on mute. There's a lot of background chatter coming through.
I couldn't see the open mic. Please, to all participants, to mute your microphone.
Okay, that seems better. Thank you for muting your microphones if you are not talking on the asking a questions or otherwise. So next, let me talk about after COVID and online learning, we saw four major shifts in the future of learning. Four major shifts. let me talk about these 4 big shifts for the future. The first shift is the shift to online lifelong learning. We did a survey at edX. It was a survey about the future of work and COVID. 58% of the people surveyed said that COVID will impact the decision to seek additional education. And 45% said that they are more likely to enroll in an online course to improve their career prospects. So we are seeing a huge shift to not just people becoming lifelong learners, learning throughout life, but moving towards online learning. This shift to remote work and online learning will continue even after COVID. This was a major, major shift that we saw due to COVID. In fact, on edX, we also surveyed edX learners during COVID, and we asked them why were they coming to edX to learn during that time. 38% who came to edX told us that they wanted to learn something new. 25% who came to edX said that they were upskilling in their current job. They had a job, but they wanted to upskill and reskill in their current job. So this is very important. So even people who were in a job were coming to edX to upskill. Very, very important. 11% had lost their job because of COVID, and they came to edX to learn so that they got a better job. 16% were people going to college who wanted to learn online to replace their college schooling. So these were just some examples, and you see pictures of some real people here who, like Maggie, for example, who was unemployed from a company called Postmates, and she learned on edX, and today Maggie is employed at Amazon in the supply chain division. So people are getting real jobs after learning and earning these certifications. The second big shift that we are seeing is the shift to short modular programs. Now, degrees are 1, 2, 3, 4, sometimes even 5 years. But after COVID, people are looking to take smaller, shorter programs. In fact, as we surveyed our learners, they were telling us that they wanted to seek modular, shorter programs, particularly to find jobs that will be safe during economic downturns or during a pandemic. And some of the most popular topics that people are interested in these short programs are topics like data science, AI, communications, writing, computer science, Internet of Things. And of course, AI is always very, very popular these days. Cybersecurity is also very important. So everything cyber has become very, very important. And so your institute, the Cyber Institute, is at the cutting edge of this new big trend. So the second big trend is learners are looking for shorter programs, shorter than full degrees. Third, the third big shift is on campus. This shift is towards blended learning. What do I mean by that? Usually on campus at universities, people go to a university and go to a classroom. It's all in person. But the future is blended. Blended means that you combine both in-person learning with online learning. That is blended learning. So I want you to look at this chart. So in this chart, I want you to follow the green curve. The green curve. The green curve looks like an inverted pan. Before COVID, it shows, so the green curve shows the adoption of online learning at universities. Before COVID, on the left-hand side, online learning was almost 0%, nothing. But when COVID came, instantly we went to 100% online. And you came to the heating surface, the base of the pan, base of the inverted pan. And during COVID, for the last 1 year, learning has gone 100% online. But then as vaccines come out, as people get vaccinated and universities open up, we will go into a new future, into a new normal, which will be blended. We are never going to go back to fully 100% in-person learning in universities. Students and professors have tried online learning and they've liked it a lot. Students have liked it, professors have liked it. They've never tried it before. So the future, as students and professors have liked online learning, the future will be blended. And I predict that in the next 2 to 5 years, all university college learning will be roughly 50% online, 50% in person. And the real reason is that online learning has good outcomes and it has flexibility for students and flexibility for professors. And many surveys are showing that 2/3 of the professors and students are both requesting for more online learning. So I want to give you the example of Professor Mark Branham. You see a picture of Professor Mark Branham. He's a faculty member at a community college in California called San Jose City College. So he said that it is very hard for a professor to transition from in-person learning to online learning. It's very difficult. And so he is looking for these online resources to help him make the transition to online learning for his students on campus. So about 1 year ago, edX launched edX Online Campus. What is edX Online Campus? edX Online Campus is a way for any college or university in the world to sign up. So you can Google edX Online Campus and you can join us for free. And we have a catalog of courses in edX Online Campus. And all your campus students, 100% of your campus students can learn on edX for free and also earn certifications on edX completely for free. So edX Online Campus is available completely for free for universities around the world for their students. Completely free. And today, in 1 year, we already have 1,000 universities around the world using edX Online Campus. So if you are a university professor or a vice chancellor or a president of a university, I encourage you to Google edX Online Campus and sign up completely for free. And all your students, every one of your students can be taking edX courses completely for free. We made this available as a free resource for the whole world. So this trend to blended learning on campus is the third big trend. Next, let me talk about the fourth big trend. And this is in corporate learning. Now, edX has edX for Business, where companies can sign up their employees to take edX courses. So if you are a company in Indonesia, you can Google edX for Business, and your company can sign up and take courses for your employees. And for corporate learning, we have more than 1,000 companies who are learning on edX. And for corporate learning, we are seeing a big shift to soft skills. What do I mean by that? About 1.5 years ago, before COVID in 2019, we analyzed the top 15 courses being taken by corporations. These were courses in computer science, data analysis, data science, machine learning, and business. Not surprising. Tech skills, like Introduction to Python programming, or Fundamentals of Marketing, or Fundamentals of Data Science from Berkeley. All tech skills. When we conducted the same study last year during COVID, the top 15 courses, of course, did contain many tech courses like computer science and data science and business, but 3 new courses made the top 15 list in soft skills. I like to call it power skills or human skills. So courses in leadership, communication, emotional intelligence, these courses made the top 15 list. This was a big change. I think what happened is that during COVID, people realized that humanity, our soft skills are very critical. And so more and more people in companies began to take soft skills courses. So with that, I'm done with my formal presentation. This new normal with the 4 big shifts is a good thing. The first one is the shift to lifelong learning and online. The second shift is to shorter credentials and shorter programs online. The third is a shift to blended learning on campuses at universities and also corporations. And the fourth is a shift to soft skills in companies. These 4 trends are very good. This moves a society forward. And now is the moment for true transformation. And I encourage all of you who are listening to this presentation today to seriously think about these and not only to adopt it, but to communicate it to your colleagues. And let's make these 4 new trends become a permanent reality. This is a good thing for the world. So with that, let me stop here. And I would welcome any questions.
Well, thank you very much, Prof. Anant Agarwal.
Thank you. I will stop sharing my screen. Okay?
Oh, yeah.
And we can take questions.
Well, okay. Thank you for an enlightening and great presentation. Now it's time for the first Q&A session. We'll open for 3 questions.
So maybe you can explain to people whether they type their questions in the chat window or in the Q&A.
We have already collected several questions here, Prof.
Okay.
Well, the first question, it is from Ani from Universitas Terbuka. The question is, dealing with shift 3, blending learning to enhance student interaction in higher education, what kind of problem we face and what can be the solution? Thank you.
Thank you, Ani. This is a very good question. Blended learning involves both online learning and in-person learning. Now, when you go to in-person learning, students might say that I like the flexibility, but I also enjoy the interaction with other students. Students like to get together as students and talk to each other. With blended learning, the solution is that you combine online learning with in-person learning, and in person, you make the students come together and discuss and answer questions and talk to each other and discuss with the professor and interact with each other. So blended learning has an in-person component that can solve the challenge with purely online learning, where students can sometimes feel that they don't have in-person interaction. So that lack of in-person interaction with online learning can be solved with blended learning. You bring students together on campus. Next question.
Well, okay, thank you. Next question. The next question is, what is the criteria for a certain course from certain university can be included in edX?
So edX works with partners. Today, we have about 170 university partners from all over the world. We have IIT Bombay from India. We have Tsinghua and Beda from China. We have Hong Kong University and HK Poly from Hong Kong. So we have many universities from all over the world. So to offer courses on edX, your university has to first become an edX member. So I would, if your university is interested in joining edX as a member, as a partner, I would encourage you to reach out to edX and explore interest in becoming a member of edX. Now, the edX platform, our software is also available as open source software. So Indonesia can also launch your Indonesia platform with Open edX, and you can launch courses there. But to launch courses on edX.org, you have to become an edX member, and I would encourage you to reach out to edX to explore a partnership.
Okay, well, thank you. And then the third question. Okay, wait a minute. Okay, okay. Here's the third question from Ramdan, Universitas Terbuka. What is Mr. Agarwal's opinion on virtual reality in distance education?
Another very good question, Ramdan. I think that online education is really benefiting from technological advancements. Today's online learning benefits from today's technological advancements like cloud computing, video distribution at scale, social networking, mobile computing, and also gamification. Now, virtual reality and AI are the next big technologies. And so online learning and distance learning can also benefit tremendously from virtual reality. So I see a future where we can teach labs completely with students getting hands-on training with virtual labs built using virtual reality. Either virtual reality or augmented reality, I think the future of labs is going to be virtual reality. I hope that those technologies will come into the edX platform over the next 3 to 4 years.
Okay, well, thank you. And then it will be the last question for you, Prof. It is from Pak Triatmoko from Universitas Indonesia. How does edX conduct quality assurance process? How edX assess human skills, especially the covert behavior such as effective domain?
So edX has many different ways of assessing human skills. Before we give a student a certification, they have to succeed in a course. And so we can assess skills by asking questions online, and students have to answer the questions. And we can grade many types of questions completely using the computer. Students can type in equations, we can grade those. Students can type in numerical answers, and we have many, many types of labs and other things that we can grade using computer. We can also grade essay questions, subjective questions using peer evaluation, where students read each other's answers and grade each other. So we can use peer evaluation to grade them. We also have prototype technology where we use AI to grade open response answers. And the open response answers, essay answers, can be very subjective, and we can use this to grade students. And so our technologies for grading students continues to evolve. Now, one part of a question may be, how do we make sure that there is integrity in the process? How do we make sure that students are not cheating? So in our exams, for MicroMasters in particular, where the courses carry credit, we use virtual proctoring. With virtual proctoring, when students are taking the exam, they are watched by camera. And when they're watched by camera, the students cannot cheat. And so we have various techniques to prevent that as well. So I hope that answers your question.
Okay, well, thank you very much. And it means that we've come to the end of the first session, and I will invite Pak Rahmat Budiman to give a token of appreciation from the ICE Institute to Prof. Anant. Pak Rahmat, please.
Thank you very much.
Pak Rahmat Budiman, are you still okay?
Sorry, thank you, Pak Fauzy, Professor Anant. I thank you for joining us today. I know that it is quite late in your place in Boston, although I'm sure the sun is still shining outside. But of course, you need time to rest and sleep. And once again, I thank you very much for participating. And then your presentation is very interesting. As I mentioned yesterday, not yesterday, last night, I had a recording for the Indonesian Education Technology fair, that I mentioned that all Indonesian, particularly students of universities, will have much more opportunities to elevate, to improve their not only knowledge, but also experience by enrolling courses offered, including offered by EDX. It is very interesting. And I also mentioned last night that I am very sure that our young generation, our millennial generation, will be much more easier to adapt with the technologies. As once again, thank you very much. And now I would like to hand over a certificate for you. And this is from us, and hopefully we will be having another time, another occasion with another team, which I'm sure will be very interesting. Once again, thank you very much for your participation, Professor Anant Agarwal. And then once again, thank you, and then have a nice weekend for you.
Okay, thank you. Let's give a virtual applause for Professor Anant Agarwal. Thank you very much,
Thank you.
Prof.
Thank you very much.
Now you may leave this webinar, as I know it's already late evening there. Yeah,
Thank you
very much.
Terima kasih, Pak Fauzy.
Sama-sama, Pak Rahmat. Now, I will invite Dr. Rijanto, the second speaker. He's currently serving as the Director of Online Education of Universitas Pelita Harapan. Pak Rijanto, 20 minutes is your time for presentation, please.
Thank you, Pak Fauzy. Thank you, Pak Rahmat. It's a great honor to be here this morning. Especially, I was in the same stage with Prof. Anant as it's a very rare occasion, and really I'm honoring this time to be with you, to be all of you. And I think this morning I'm just will continue the discussion from Professor Anant as the topic given to me. We are dealing now with the quality assurance and the governance of open distance learning. Indeed, before I came to these assignments from ICE, and also I really would like to open up the discussion with all of you. Actually, one of my colleagues said to me, "Pak, you had a very boring and very difficult topic for the ICE forum." And I took it as granted, and I said, "Yes, indeed, but we have no options." I said, every time we talk about quality assurance, we talk about our higher education, and we always have to discuss about this. Let me start my presentation. Can all of you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, Pak, clear.
Thank you. So, as topics that I would like to say to you, and then also to refresh all of you that we are dealing with the quality issue. And then at the end of the presentation, I hope to give you a kind of our ideas. So I said ours, it's not necessarily that I will propose that alone. But in the Arts Institute, as a working group, we also dealing with this since last year, since we started intensively about founding the Arts Institute. So quality is always a very interesting topic, and again, it's debatable topic. Quality has different meanings. So each of us, we might disagree with the definitions and our understanding about what is good quality of education. Students, institutions, and other stakeholders have a different understanding about what is quality. So quality is in the eye of the beholder, actually. So it's relative. It depends on how you will describe it, how you feel it, and also how you will take it as your daily practice, basically. So Heavy and Greens for the higher education conceptualize that we all here together as a higher education community, we talk about the exceptional, excellent distinctiveness. Each of us in the higher education institution and universities, we always talk about excellences. And then perfections or the consistencies of the way we work and we operate from day to day, it's really something that we will always emphasize. Purpose, the fitness of the purpose, and then the value of money in terms of return of investment. Yeah. From the students and the parents' perspective, there are differences that what we are operating daily. And then transformative. It means transformative giving the empowerment of the students through the learning process by involving the lecturer, but also as the institutions. And then it's a common for us to understand, as Commendate et al. Described, that there are 4 value systems on the quality and the quality management. One is always about the process control. We always have to comply with the certain rule, procedure, and standards. And secondly, we always take the continuous improvement as a way that we should not limit ourselves to improve. And then, of course, commitment, and then there is a breakthrough, which is quite related with what we deal with the innovation. So all of them, because of the difference between the understanding about the quality, lead us to the quality culture. Quality culture is equivalent to what we emphasize and we practice every day in our organizations. That means that we intend always to enhance the quality permanently. And this is the social glue between us who work in the certain organizations, but among the relations between the organizations. Yeah. So there are 2 distinct elements in the higher educations talking about the quality culture, because this is the layer or the level where we all together meet in the higher education. Yeah. First, the cultural aspect or the psychological element, where we understand and we share about the value, the belief, the expectations, the commitment toward the quality. And then secondly, about the structural or the managerial element, where it is defined as the process to enhance quality and aim at the coordinating individual efforts. Here we are talking about the tools and the procedures of the quality management. And then basically, we practice quality culture in day-to-day operations. This is not something different outside from the organization perspective. So it's based on the internal systems of the continuous quality. Yeah. So if we think about our stakeholders, again, this slide might be different than what we think, but as I prepared this slide, I try to reflect myself as not only working in my institutions, but we always deal with internal stakeholders, which give us where they have a direct involvement with our organizations. Students and parents, lecturer, management level from the top to the operational level, alumni. Most of us in Indonesia, we have research institute also, at least the research initiative in our organizations. And externally, which involve indirectly with our higher education organizations, that the industry, the private sector. Other research institutes might join and collaborate with us, the employer, of course, the community and the society, starting from those who live nearby the campus to the international society, other university, other higher education institutes, and also, of course, the governments. And this external stakeholders might have different expectations and different kind of roles and involvement to our organization. That again drive the understanding about the quality slightly different from one organization to the other organization. In terms of the frameworks, I give red stars here. I just put anything that I can collect and that we are familiar with. Of course, we must be familiar with the M.Pd, our own quality assurance framework. It has internal and external systems with us and with their own cyclists, and it's very close with the Asian University Quality Assurance Associations, the O1QA, yeah. And of course, we are in the regions of Asia, so we have to comply also slightly with this. So it's kind of the revisions of the O1QA that what we have now. I believe UT, Universitas Terbuka, has been exercising and also organizing the Asian Association of Open Universities Quality Assurance Framework. It has 9 components at the beginning, but lately I see it's at 10 components in 2010. Other quality assurance frameworks, we have TAXA as an Australian tertiary qualification standard. It has a standard and criteria in 2020 and still has 7 domains. And I still remember also in 2007, we have the EPIC, Q Quality Assurance Online Learning Toolkit. It was presented in a DICTI international webinar where I had to host that seminar also. So among these, what we learn is that each the quality assurance has some similarities in certain layers, but also different in details of the standard and criteria. Yeah, the Asian quality assurance standard is in UT has 9 to 10 components, and the middle one is the EPIC toolkit. It has 9 domains, and there are certain criteria and measurement inside each of the domain. The EPIC itself also, the TAXA has 7 domains, almost in the same structure with EPIC. So, from our understanding in the research group, we understand that are different layer of the different level of the quality systems. We have at the macro level quality systems, we have the meso level, and also the macro. So the macro level basically the national and global general dimensions, yeah, through the regions of countries and also to the world. Institutional matter requires us to look inside our institutions. There are several standards applied to this institutional matter. And at the a very detailed level, the micro level one, we have to look at the course or the module. Basically, the model are pretty the same in terms of the quality systems. That's why we have slightly a different framework, but also there are some commonalities in details of the framework. So when we look at our own systems, as I said, we have to adopt this according to government. We have the internal process of quality assurance, but also the external ones in terms of accreditations. With all the cycles, we are familiar with the PP, and the APP, and each of the cyclists will check these 9 criteria in the 24 standards in DICTI quality assurance framework. It left us with the potential gap when we think about the online learning. I've read also in some articles of Universitas Terbuka and other research about the quality assurance framework internationally. The online learning itself has been as a struggle point to the traditional campus organization higher educations, but also to the open and distance learning. So in Indonesia, we call it anak tiri. So it's something that we love about online learning, but it's still left behind. It is not directly included to our quality assurance standard and criteria, but it is reflected to this standard and criteria. So this is really challenging for us. We have to think about this, and we have to look for the opportunity. In our own standard of dictee, there are two classifications of the standards, the SN dictee and the standard dictee. So we have to look in the future where we can integrate or we add the standard and criteria, or the other options that we have to add another standard dictee in the institutions as the additional standard. So I guess this is really a valid discussion. From the ICE perspective, we have to look and remember that as yesterday we did the grand launching of ICE, and we always give the tagline as the marketplace of online learning. So I'm really thankful to Professor Paulina, who introduced me with this terminology about the unbundled university. Yeah, so basically, if I understand that correctly, ICE Institute is one forms where we unbundle all the partners involved in the ICE Institute. So when we talk about the unbundling, it means that it always requires the rebundling, because when we talk about disaggregations at the same time rebundling again. So this is a dynamic process. This is an inflow process. There is always a force discharge, and we have to take it back to stabilize our system. So we can imagine as UI, Universitas Indonesia, UPH itself, BINUS, and other partners collaborating in the ICE Institute, we have to open ourselves. We have to think internally also, what is the possibilities that we can collaborate in the ICE Institute. And this is not end with our partnership within universities, but also we have to involve other online program management companies. We have to involve also the associations of profession. We will involve also the association of education in certain professions. So when unbundling the components, as we see in these diagrams, we think about the disciplinary knowledge, the opportunities, the graduateness, and the experience itself. So there are many ways how we unbundling and rebundle. Again, this left us with the big questions. What is the quality then? Do we have the same commonalities that we share together? As in the beginning of my presentation, we still keep the excellence. We keep the value of the purpose, the fitness of the purpose also in this cooperation with ICE. So ICE will be growing, and we will take more partnerships. But before we can enlarge ourselves, we have to agree on a certain quality assurance framework. So unbundling concepts, as in this presentations, mostly talking about the course level details quality assurance. How we design the course, how we deliver the course, how do we support the students using the course, how to update it. So this actually gives us a certain clue on how we can rethink about the the quality assurance standard from dictee. As Professor Agarwal also said that we meet now in the new land of, we call it the promising land. One of them is the blended learning. I feel it in the same way as Professor Agarwal. So I can imagine that the traditional in-campus model will slightly adopt the open and distance education by utilizing the technology. In the other way around, from the distance and open and distance education as an UT, for example, and other open university in the world, also will adopt the technology utilizations. This is a dynamic process. again, the collaboration and the partnerships is one point that we have to move forward. But what is the end result or the real real form of the collaborations will be, as Professor Agarwal also said, about blended learning. So as in my terminology, in understanding blended learning, we can apply at the course level, but also it can be applied at the campus or the study program level by cooperating and also matching our course, make our course shorter. We can collaborate with other partners and institutions to deliver the in-campus session, or the other way around. Yeah, we give the online learning opportunities fully, but we don't deliver it directly. We give we let our students take online learning courses from other institutions, but we do the practicum sessions, we do the workshop, we do the live and real interactions. So as I said before, the quality assurance and governance for the new open and distance education, where we utilize technology fully, we should think about the adding a new standard or criteria in the Unbundling system. Or institutionally, we set a new standard and criteria at the meso and macro level, possibly also to adopt the external accreditation systems internationally, where we can improve ourselves in institutions. But what is the ICE perspective is that we have to look at also at the possibilities that because we share the course, we share the lecture also about the certifications and benchmarking on the certain course that we share in the ICE. Of course, this is still a big question for us in the research groups, more in detail, but for sure we will not left our main stakeholders, students. We should go back and stick with the student engagements and how they will experience in our learning process. We have to prepare our lecturer also to adopt new style of teaching. On the other way around, the organization that involved in ICE from the industry or from the employer, they also have to understand how we teach in the university. So we cannot just outsource that process, but we have to control the quality of the delivery also. So the technology enhancement learning as the innovative driver, but also it can be as the educational provisions. So we can imagine that as the questions came to Professor Agarwal, that virtual reality, that could be the future. But for some skills and for some psychological development, we cannot achieve that skills and capabilities by just having the virtuality. Professional development for our lecturer, our leaders in higher education, and also the operational staff, the academic support, we have to prepare all of them. The data cleanness. So otherwise, all these collaborations will lead to that we are driven away from the quality issue. If we look at our own country, we have to left this quality assurance model and governance as the customization and contextualization of the quality system. And then again, the credentializations where we collaborate with the industry should be the another breakthrough, another innovation. Let's say we shorten the course, but also we validate the learning outcomes into the competence base where it will meet the industrial standard. And then the last point is that we have to look at the new open distance learning quality government is about it. So partnership cannot be achieved by us internally in each of the partners, but also let's say from the consortium base, we can imagine the consortium will flourishing. There are so many consortiums will come up, and I think the government has been supporting us with the Campus Merdeka also, MBKM. That's a sign that unbundling university is become now the reality. So that's I think the last point of my last presentations on behalf of the research group of ICE. We have Professor Daryono, Professor Aulia from ITS, Pak Hari Wibawanto from UNES, but also Ibu Stella in UPH. We have done some preliminary studies that we collect information now, and we will go further with this. Hopefully, we will give more detail to the eyes, and where all the partners will further collaborate and we enlarge the partnerships. Thank you very much, Pak Fauzy, and I left that back to the moderator.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Rijanto, for an in-depth and insightful presentation. Now it's time for the second question and answer session. We've got several questions here. The first question is from Afri, from Universitas Terbuka. A simple question, Prof. What is good quality in an e-course, online course?
Yes. I think we can see from a lot of quality assurance framework about the e-courses. We do not have necessarily to make our own quality assurance standard and criteria. For that, we can just simply adopt it. But the issue will be which one is fit to us. One of the most easiest one is that we take the course components standards. We define that e-course or online course should consist of a certain components like the media, the learning object variations, the use of multimedia object components, the glossaries, and also the program mapping. So the structure of course should be defined from the beginning, where every learner should understand it before they start the course. So that's another component we can take. I guess there are a lot of criteria for that. It's pretty common. The interactions also between the lecturer and the students, among the students, it should be part of the components in the e-course.
Okay, thank you. And then the second question. Wait a minute. Okay, the second question, it is anonymous. What are the characteristics of the quality teaching? I mean, online teaching.
Yes, I think since March 2020 until now, we are struggling with this as many lecturers in Indonesia also deal with the COVID effect. So we have to switch suddenly to fully online teaching mode. It left us with many questions. One of them is the accessibility. Technology accessibility in terms of information and technology are vary in our country. In some area, it's very difficult to get the accessibility. So I would say that the good quality of online teaching is that, number one, as a lecturer, we have to think of that there are a lot of variations from our students. So strategizing and implementing instructional design and technology is number one point. We have to understand that many of our students might not be joining us synchronously. And we have to think also that our students might have different quality of the gadget and the internet connection, variations of the applications. Last year, we did a short survey with our students. Although we are quite prepared to face the pandemic COVID situation, so switching fully online, we found out that many students are frustrated where the lecturer give a lot of options in terms of technology. So that's another continuum of being very difficult in having the accessibility. So a lot of variations is also giving another burden to our students. They get confused because they say, every time I have the lecture from Professor A, from Dr. B, I have to switch my applications. Because I have to switch the applications, I get confused where the assignments, where the quiz, and it consumes a lot of bandwidth. So I think that's number one point about accessibility, but also how to be very planful. Other things that we have to think of from the student perspective is that fully online is quite boring. So there are tendencies that the stress level is higher in a fully online environment. Yeah. So I call it as the emergency mode of COVID era. Yeah. I predict that we are still in that stage as a nationwide. It's become stabilized, but connectivity and accessibility is the first layer. Second layer is about what is the instructional strategy. How to engage the students despite their variations of the backgrounds and the situations. We can utilize that. So I guess the next phase, as Professor Agarwal said, starting at least from this year, 2000 until 2025, we have to stabilize the situations by adopting instructional design and strategy correctly. So we will not be in the survival mode anymore. That's the questions I can answer.
Okay, well, thank you, Dr. Rijanto. And then we have the third question. The third question is from Adi, Universitas Terbuka. Bagaimana cara mengukur sikap perilaku dalam pendidikan jarak jauh?
Ya, ini mengukur sikap dan perilaku mungkin maksudnya adalah learning outcomes. Ya, kita tahu learning outcomes selalu di drive pertama kali ketika kita mendesain pembelajaran, ya baik dalam traditional campus environment blended learning maupun dalam fully online course like pada e-course. Selalu kita siapkan bagaimana kita mencapai pembelajaran. Perubahan sikap dan perilaku itu seperti tadi juga ada pertanyaan ke Profesor Agarwal, agak tricky terus terang. Ya. Kita harus hati-hati. Ya. Tapi strateginya adalah nomor satu, kita harus tahu limitasinya dulu. Kita harus tahu karakteristik dari learning outcomes yang mau kita capai. Jadi tidak seluruhnya skill and attitude bisa kita capai dengan sekedar memaparkan sesuatu secara online. Kita harus berpikir mengenai bagaimana memvalidasinya kembali dengan assessment and evaluation techniques. Ya. Saya rasa e-proctoring itu adalah standar operasional untuk integrity, ya, pelaksanaan. Tetapi kita educator, kita selalu pikir hasil akhirnya bagaimana. Jadi validasinya masih berjalan terus ketika mereka akan mulai, ya para mahasiswa atau lulusan kita akan mulai bekerja. Nah, jadi di ICE, ya, ICE Institute ini sebenarnya ekosistem yang sangat menarik, karena ketika kita involve partner dari dunia industri dan pekerjaan, ya, mereka sudah mulai bisa dari awal memvalidasi itu. Ya. Cara validasinya bagaimana ketika kita involve mereka dalam pengembangan materi misalnya. Ketika kita mengundang mereka sebagai pembicara langsung. Nah, lalu bagaimana kita juga bisa melibatkan mereka dalam validasi sikap dan perilakunya. Ya, jadi kombinasi dari blended learning itu tadi itu menarik sekali sebenarnya. So we have to look the blended learning as a fully strategy for us to implement the learning process in the how to survive in the COVID now. Jadi tolong Bapak Ibu sekalian, terutama para pendidik dan juga mahasiswa juga mulai apalagi mahasiswa di program pendidikan ya. Berarti kan bagaimana kita melakukan assessment dan evaluation terhadap hasil belajar itu tidak lagi dilakukan sendiri ya sebagai pengajar. Ya, kita harus involve banyak ahli di situ. Oke, begitu jawaban saya.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Rijanto. And now I will invite Bu Eka Julianti to give the token of appreciation to Dr. Rijanto. Please, Bu Eka. Sorry, Bu Eka, we couldn't hear your audio.
Sorry, I'm so sorry. Thank you, Pak Fauzy. Okay, Dr. Rijanto Purbojo, on behalf of the organizing committee, I would like to give the certificate of appreciation to you for your great contribution to this webinar. Please accept our sincere thanks. Let's give virtual applause for Dr. Rijanto.
Terima kasih. Thank you very much.
Okay. See you, Doctor.
Well, thank you, Dr. Rijanto. And that's the end of today's webinar. On behalf of the ICE Institute, Universitas Terbuka, and the organizing committee, we'd like to thank to our speakers, Prof. Anant Agarwal, who left earlier, and Dr. Rijanto for the presentation, which will be very fruitful for our online teaching learning practitioners. Also, we'd like to thank to all participants from Indonesia and from all over the world for joining today's webinar. The ICE Institute will have the 5th series of webinar next month. Last but not least, please follow our social media account on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. You may search Indonesia Cyber Education Institute. Thank you all. Have a nice day and stay healthy. Bye.
Terima kasih. Thank you.
Terima kasih Bapak Ibu sekalian.
Terima kasih Pak Rijanto. Bapak Ibu sekalian.
Terima kasih Pak Rijanto.
Terima kasih.
Terima kasih Pak Rijanto.
Terima kasih Pak Rijanto. Terima kasih Pak Rijanto.
Terima kasih Pak Rijanto.
Bagi para partisipan, tidak ada daftar hadir pada webinar kali ini, tetapi ada form evaluasi sebagai form untuk Bapak Ibu mendapatkan e-certificate. Link akan ditampilkan segera. Ya, link untuk form evaluasi sudah di-share juga di chat box. Nah, sekarang ditampilkan. Harap Bapak Ibu mengisi link feedback untuk mendapatkan e-certificate. E-certificate akan dikirimkan kepada alamat email yang sudah terregistrasi oleh Bapak Ibu maksimum 7 hari setelah webinar ini selesai. Sekali lagi terima kasih dan salam sehat selalu.